Hi guys, and welcome to our fourth and final lesson on archaeology. So we have looked at what an archaeologist does, what his job is. We've looked at how he identifies a site. We've looked at how he excavates a site. And now we're going to look at what happens to the objects that are found on these digs. How do we put a date on these objects? How do we know what era they're from? We will start with our learning outcomes as always. So by the end of this presentation, you should know what carbon-14 dating is. You should know what stratigraphy is. And finally, you should know what dendrochronology is. Okay, dendrochronology, nice big word for you guys to impress your parents with. So our first method of dating, so how are objects dated? First one we're going to use is carbon dating or carbon-14 dating. Okay, so what is carbon-14 dating? So every living thing contains carbon-14. When humans or animals and plants or shells die, carbon-14 is slowly released. So archaeologists, they measure the amount of carbon-14 that's left and they can calculate how old the thing they found is. Now carbon-14 is only accurate up to 50,000 years because once you go past 50,000 years, the living thing has usually shed or expelled or released all its carbon. So our next method of dating an artifact is this thing called dendrochronology. So it is the study of tree rings. And each ring on a tree, as you may know, represents 1 year. And this can tell us about the environment of the period it is from. Okay? Dendrochronology or tree ring dating is the scientific method of dating based on the analysis of patterns of tree rings. Now this is a very complicated and painstaking process, but basically, as you can see from this picture here, the rings aren't uniform, they're not all the same. You know, some are bigger and some are smaller, some are closer together, and to the untrained eye, it doesn't really mean much, but to someone who has studied it, the size of the ring will indicate what the weather was like for that year, okay? And we've used this process almost like a daisy chain. So if we cut down a tree that's 100 years old, we can see the rings on it. And then we cut down a tree that's 200 years old, and you will see the same cross-section of the 100-year pattern that both of them lived through. And we kind of work our way back, and we're able to identify trees from 12,000 years ago. They've got back that far. And while this gives us information about the environment, it also will help us if we find wooden tools or wooden artifacts that have these grain patterns. We can cross section it with our catalogue of trees from our study of dendrochronology, and we're able to date an object, which is absolutely an amazing process. So on to our third method of dating an object, that is stratigraphy. So stratigraphy is the study of the different layers of soil created by decaying plants and soils. So the further down an artifact is found, the older it is. Okay, so if you look here, so this is just a picture of what it might look like. So you've got your modern topsoil on top. Underneath that, you've got stuff from the 18th century. Then you have stuff from the medieval times. Then you've got Roman stuff underneath that. Then you've got the Iron Age. And it's just showing that the natural process of things on the bottom are older than things that are closer to the top. Okay, so if we look here, we can see again the layers of the soil and the things that are further down. So the mammoth skull down at the bottom there is in a layer labelled I. Okay, again, we're going to label our layers all down along. So A is the top, and we'll come down as far as I. Okay, and each layer we come through is generally from a different time period. So it's the same as when you use a bin. Okay, so the stuff that's thrown in there on Monday goes on the bottom. The next day, Tuesday stuff is thrown on top of that. Next day, Wednesday stuff is thrown on top of that. Okay, so in a stratigraphy, using the stratigraphy method, okay, you can see there at the bottom you've got the Iron Age, then you've got the Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Normans, Middle Ages. Okay, and this is generally the way that we can date things. This is why the positioning is so important. All the detail that goes into a dig really adds to how we find out about the object. Our final method of dating an artifact is through coins. Coins can be used to identify time periods, as each ruler usually minted their own coins, and some have dates on them or others have rulers' heads on them. Okay, so you can see here a nice coin from 1787. Okay, so that's going to tell us when that was issued. Finally, you should now know what carbon-14 dating is, what dendrochronology is, and what a stratigraphy is. And we will, of course, be looking at these in class tomorrow. And I hope you enjoyed the show.